I dropped my briefcase by the door, the weight of the day still clinging to me like damp clothes. The office had been a grind. New project, new guy, Max, yapping nonstop with that smug grin of his. They'd shipped me to this dusty little town a week ago, and he'd latched on quick, tall, dark-haired, always fixing his damn hair. Today, after work, he dragged me to the bar. "Rob, lighten up, man. Beer's on me," he'd boomed, slamming a bottle down. I nodded, keeping it cool. Guy was loud but decent enough. Adriana met me at the door, her blonde hair catching the light, those eyes warm as ever. "Late again," she said, wrapping her arms around me, soft and familiar, like the past 10 years hadn't worn us down. "Yeah, Max kept me," I muttered, shrugging off my jacket. She smiled, that open, easy smile I'd fallen for. "New coworker?" she asked, setting a plate of meatloaf on the table. "Yeah, talks too much," I said, sitting down, my shoulders loosening. We ate, her chatter filling the quiet. Work, the weather, the usual. Then I remembered Max at the bar, leaning in over his beer. "Got a side thing going," he'd said, twirling a red string bracelet on his wrist. "Married chick. Loves the thrill, secret meets, late calls." I give him these as a little mark. I'd smirk, tossing back. "Tag 'em all like that?" He laughed, loud and sharp. "Hell yeah, tradition." I shrugged, dumb bar talk, nothing more. But later, after she'd gone to bed, I was digging in the closet for a tie. Her drawer slid open by accident, and there it was, a red string bracelet tucked under a scarf. Same as his. My hand froze, gripping the fabric, pulse kicking up. "Bullshit," I whispered, shoving it back. "Coincidence. She's got a million trinkets." But my gut twisted, Max's voice echoing. Married chick. Loves the thrill. Morning came, and she was in the kitchen, humming, pouring coffee. Cinnamon laced the air, her thing. "Rough day ahead?" she asked, handing me a mug, her smile bright. I nodded, staring at her. My Adriana, no secrets. "Yeah, closing the deal with Max," I said, sipping. She kissed my cheek and breezed off to get ready. I stood there, mug burning my hands, eyes locked on that damn bracelet in my head. Just a string. Or was it? The office buzzed like a hive. Phones ringing, keyboards clacking, but Max's voice cut through it all. "Rob, my man, you were quiet last night." He barged into my cubicle, slamming a stack of papers down, grinning like he owned the place. I nodded, keeping it tight. His red bracelet flashed every time he waved his hands, and I couldn't peel my eyes off it. Last night, that damn string in Adriana's drawer burned into my skull. Coincidence? I wanted to believe it, but my stomach churned. He dragged me out for a smoke break at lunch. "That girl of mine called again," he said, lighting up, his smirk sharp as a blade. "Whispering sweet nothings while her husband's off doing whatever. Loves the sneaking around." I gripped my cigarette, voice flat. "Off doing whatever?" He nodded, blowing smoke. "Yeah, some guy too busy to notice. She's crazy about cinnamon coffee. Says it's her escape." I froze. Cinnamon. Adriana's kitchen reeked of it every morning. "What else she into?" I asked, playing it cool, but my hands shook. Max leaned in, eyes glinting. "Long calls while I'm driving. Her voice, man, it's like honey, gets me every time." I nodded, throat dry. Her voice, soft, warm, the one I'd trusted for a decade. But long calls? She didn't blow up my phone like that. I stared at him, his smug face laughing at something I didn't get yet. Did he know? Home hit me with her smile. Adriana, radiant, setting the table. "Tough day?" she asked, hugging me, her warmth sinking in. I nodded, watching her, same Adriana, open mine. "Yeah." Max ran his mouth. I muttered, dropping into a chair. She slid a plate over, cinnamon wafting from her coffee mug nearby. I almost asked, but bit it back. Instead, "You call anyone today?" She blinked, her spoon pausing midair. "Yeah, Sarah, just catching up," she said, flashing that quick smile. I nodded, staring at my food. "Sarah, the one who moved to Cali 6 months ago and ghosted her?" Lie. Her voice was too smooth, her eyes too steady. I ate in silence, her chatter washing over me, while Max's words clawed my brain, too busy to notice. Me? She went to bed, leaving me in the kitchen, her mug still warm on the counter. I stood there, staring at it, the cinnamon smell choking me. That bracelet, her lie, it wasn't nothing. I clenched my jaw. Tomorrow, I'd push Max harder. Let him talk. He'd slip, or she would. I slumped on the couch, the TV dark, while the shower hummed. Adriana's voice drifted out, soft and careless, like nothing was wrong. Her lie about Sarah, just catching up, stabbed at me, sharp and relentless. Max's bar talk, cinnamon long calls, busy husband, looped in my head, tying knots I couldn't untangle. That red bracelet in her drawer. I want to shrug it off, but my gut screamed, dig. She stepped out, towel-wrapped, flashing that warm smile. Big day tomorrow, she asked, plopping next to me, her damp hair brushing my arm. I nodded, staring into her eyes, clear, honest, or so I'd thought. Yeah, wrapping up with Max, I said, voice tight, pulse hammering. She pecked my cheek and headed to bed. I waited till her breathing steadied, slow, even, then got up. Her phone sat on the kitchen counter, black and silent. Password, our wedding date, unchanged. I punched it in, hands shaky. Messages, empty, just a couple work texts. Calls? Mine from yesterday, nothing else. Too neat. She'd wiped it. I yanked open the drawer under the sink, her junk stash. Old receipts, batteries, and then a motel slip, $60 2 nights back. Late at work, she'd said. My fingers crushed the paper, rage surging. Lie. I crept to the bedroom, quiet as a thief. Her purse dangled on the chair. I dug in. Wallet, keys, and a napkin. Lipstick smudge, scribbled, call tomorrow. A citrus scent hit me from her coat, sharp, wrong. Not the floral I bought her. And mucks. I sank onto the bed, receipt and napkin in my fists, breath ragged. It slammed me. Her. Him. My Adriana. Morning came, and she breezed out. Client stuff? She chirped, her voice sweet, eyes bright. I nodded, watching her go, door clicking shut. I bolted to the closet, ripped her drawer open. The red bracelet stared back, bold as a slap. I grabbed it, squeezing till my knuckles whitened. She'd lied to my face every damn day while I played the trusting fool. Now I saw it, clear as glass, and I'd make her bleed for it. The office hummed, phones buzzing, chairs squeaking, but Max's voice drowned it all. Rob, we're killing it, man. He barged in, tossing a file on my desk, that smug grin plastered on his face. I nodded, jaw tight, his red bracelet flicked with every gesture, taunting me. The motel receipt, the citrus-scented napkin with the damn string in her drawer, they burned in my pocket all night. Adriana, my wife, with him, at lunch, he dragged me to the break room. My girl's on fire lately, he said, leaning back, coffee in hand. Called me last night, whispering while her husband's clueless. Says he's too uptight, always sniffing around. I gripped my mug, knuckles white, voice steady. Clueless, huh? He smirked, nodding. Yeah, poor sap doesn't see it. She's got this thing for cinnamon, drinks it like water. My stomach twisted. Cinnamon. Her morning ritual. What'll she say? I asked, keeping it casual though my pulse hammered. Max chuckled, swirling his cup. Oh, she rants about him. Too boring, too stuck. Loves my calls, says I'm her escape. I stared at him, tall, slick, laughing at me without knowing. Or did he? Her voice, my anchor for 10 years. Now his escape. I nodded, swallowing the bile. Sounds like a real catch, I muttered. Home hit me with her warmth. Adriana, glowing, setting out plates. Rough day? She asked, brushing my arm, her eyes soft. I nodded, watching her, same Adriana, open mine. Or so I believed. Yeah, Max ran his mouth. I said, sinking into a chair. She slid dinner over. Meatloaf, mashed potatoes, cinnamon coffee, steaming nearby. I almost choked on the smell. You talked to anyone today? I threw out, fork hovering. She paused just a beat, then smiled. Yeah, Jen about work, she said, smooth as silk. Yen, the coworker she hadn't mentioned in months. Another lie. I ate, her chatter bouncing off me, while Max's words clawed inside. Too uptight, sniffing around. Me. She was trashing me to him. She cleared the table, humming, and I sat there, staring at her mug. Tomorrow, we'd close the project. Perfect excuse. Hey, I called, voice flat. Invite Max for dinner tomorrow. Celebrate the win. She turned, eyes brightening. Great idea. I'll cook something nice. I nodded, masking the storm. Let him come. Sit at my table. Look her in the eye. If he knew, I'd see it. If she slipped, I'd catch her. Either way, they'd pay. The kitchen smelled like garlic and betrayal. Adriana fluttered around, setting the table, her blonde hair catching the light. Max'll love this, she said, smiling, arranging plates with roast chicken and mashed potatoes. I nodded, leaning against the counter, my gut churning. The motel receipt, the napkin with that damn red bracelet. They pulsed in my pocket like a heartbeat. Tonight, I'd see it all. The doorbell rang at 7 sharp. Max strode in, all swagger, clapping me on the back. Rob, man, smells amazing, he boomed, tossing his jacket on a chair. His bracelet flashed, red, bold, mocking me. Adriana turned, beaming. Glad you could make it, Max, she chirped, her voice warm, too warm. I watched them, his grin, her glow, my fists clenched under the table as we sat. Dinner started easy. Max yapped about the project. Adriana laughed at his dumb jokes, her eyes sparkling. You two crushed it, she said, passing the rolls, her hand brushing his for a split second. I caught it too long, too casual. Yeah, Max is a real charmer, I said, voice flat, staring at him. He smirked, oblivious. Gotta keep the clients happy, right? Halfway through, I leaned back, sipping my beer. So, Max, how's that girl of yours? I asked, watching his face. He chuckled, twirling his bracelet. Oh, she's golden. Called me yesterday. Says her husband's a drag. Always on her case. Adriana's fork froze mid-air. Just a flicker, but I saw it. Her smile tightened. Sounds exhausting, she said, too quick, eyes darting to me. Yeah, poor guy doesn't get it, Max went on, leaning in. She's wild, loves cinnamon coffee, late-night talks. Keeps me hooked. I set my bottle down hard. Funny, I said, voice low. Adriana's big on cinnamon, too. Her head snapped up, eyes wide, but she laughed thin, forced. Lots of people are, she said, shrugging. Max paused, his grin faltering, then locked eyes with her. Something passed, sharp, electric. He knew. I saw it. His jaw twitched, her breath hitched. He pushed his chair back. Rob, man, I just remembered, gotta run. Early call tomorrow. He stood, grabbing his jacket, avoiding her gaze. Thanks for the meal, Adriana. See ya, Rob. Wait, I said, standing, voice like steel. He froze at the door. You knew, didn't you? She's my wife. His face drained, eyes darting. I'm sorry, man. I didn't sign up for this, he stammered, bolting out. Adriana sat, pale, staring at her plate. I turned to her, slow, cold. You're done. The silence after Max bolted was deafening. Adriana sat frozen, staring at her half-eaten chicken, the table a graveyard of our life. His words, I didn't sign up for this, rang in my ears, but her face burned hotter in my skull. Pale, caught guilty. I stood over her, the air thick with her lies, motel receipts, citrus scents, that damn bracelet. You're done, I'd said, and I meant it. She finally looked up, eyes wide, trembling. Rob, please, let me explain. Her voice cracked, desperate, but I cut her off, sharp as a blade. Explain what? How you been screwing Max behind my back? My own coworker. I slammed my fist on the table, plates rattling. She flinched, tears welling, but I didn't care. How long, Adriana? Weeks? Months? It wasn't like that, she stammered, hands clutching the napkin, twisting it. It just happened. I didn't mean. I laughed bitter loud, cutting her off again. Just happened. You think I'm that stupid? The calls, the motels. How long did you laugh at me? She shook her head, sobbing now, but it was noise, empty, fake like her warmth all these years. I stormed to the bedroom, yanked her purse off the chair, and dumped it on the bed. Lipstick, keys, more lies spilling out. Rob, stop, she cried, rushing after me, but I shoved past her, grabbing her phone. Password, our wedding date, what a joke. I scrolled. Nothing wiped clean, but I knew. You erased it all, huh? Smart. I snarled, tossing it aside. But not smart enough. She sank onto the bed, face in her hands. I'm sorry, Rob. I swear, I didn't want this. I towered over her, voice ice cold. Sorry doesn't cut it. You trashed us 10 years for him. And he knew. He sat here, grinning, while you played me. Her sobs grew louder, but they bounced off me. I was done feeling for her. Morning hit, and I called my lawyer, Dan, before the sun was up. Divorce now, I said, pacing the kitchen, her coffee mug still on the counter, cinnamon stench choking me. She cheated with my coworker. I want her out broke, nothing left. Done see get. We'll need proof, Rob, but if you've got it, we can hit hard. I gripped the motel receipt, the napkin. I've got it. She came downstairs, red-eyed, quiet. Rob, can we talk? She whispered, reaching for me. I stepped back, glaring. Talk's over. Pack your crap. You're gone. Her face crumpled, but I turned away. This was just the start. I'd burn her world down, money, pride, everything. She'd feel what I felt. Every damn piece. The house was a war zone. Adriana's stuff strewn across the bedroom. Her sobs echoing from upstairs as I sat in the kitchen, plotting. Her I'm sorry from last night was ash in my mouth. Motel receipts, Max's napkin, that red bracelet fueled the fire inside me. She'd begged, but I'd already called Dan. Divorce was locked in. Now I'd hit harder. I started with the bank. Our joint account. Years of my sales commissions sat fat at 15 grand. Her name was on it, her security, while I worked my ass off. Not anymore. I logged in. Her password, still our anniversary. What a sick joke. I drained it. Wired every cent to a new account she'd never touch. Credit cards? Canceled by noon. Her car lease? Reported late. Repo men would be knocking soon. She'd have nothing. Next, the town. Small places like this thrived on gossip. I'd make it a bonfire. I hit the diner, where every tongue wagged. Old Pete was there, sipping coffee. Hey, Rob, he grunted, nodding. I leaned in, voice low. Caught Adriana with Max, my coworker, in my own damn house. His mug froze halfway to his mouth. No scheet. By lunch, it had spread. Her name mud, Max's too. Let him choke on the stairs. She came down around 2, eyes puffy, suitcase in hand. Rob, we need to talk, she whispered, voice shaky. I stood, arms crossed, staring her down. Talk? You're out of here. Pack faster. She flinched, tears spilling. I don't have anywhere. I cut her off cold. Not my problem. You made your bed with Max. Lie in it. She froze, then bolted back upstairs, sobbing louder. I called Dan again. She's got no cash now, I said, pacing. Push the divorce, full custody of the house, everything. She's done. He grunted. Got the motel slip? That napkin? We'll bury her. I smirked, clutching the proof. Yeah, bury her deep. Evening fell, as she dragged her suitcase to the door. Rob, please, she tried again, reaching for me. I stepped back, voice like steel. Get out before I throw you out. She stared, broken, then stumbled into the dusk. I slammed the door, the lock clicking like a gunshot. Step 1 done. Her money, her home gone. Next, I'd shred her pride. This town would eat her alive, and I'd watch it burn. The house felt empty. Adriana's suitcase gone, her cinnamon stink fading from the kitchen. I stood at the sink, staring out at the dark street where she'd stumbled off last night, her sobs still ringing in my ears. Sorry didn't cut it. Not with motel receipts, Max's napkin, that cursed bracelet proving her lies. I'd stripped her cash, kicked her out, and now the town was chewing her up. Good. I wasn't done. Morning hit, and I called her boss, small ad firm, her creative gig. Hey, Greg, it's Rob, I said, voice calm. Adriana's a mess. Cheated with my coworker. Trashed our marriage. Thought you should know. He paused, then coughed. Damn, Rob, that's rough. She's been flaky lately. Guess this explains it. By noon, word came. She was fired. No job, no money, no mercy. The diner buzzed by midday. Pete spread the dirt, and every eye tracked me as I walked in. Heard about your wife, some old-timer muttered, shaking his head. Low blow, man. I nodded, grabbing coffee. Yeah, her and Max, right under my nose. Whispers flared. Her name a curse, his a punchline. This town loved a scandal, and I'd fed a feast. Dan rang at 3. Divorce papers filed, he said, gruff. She's got nothing. No savings, no leverage. House is yours. We got her dead to rights with that motel stuff. I smirked, clutching a napkin in my pocket. Make it fast, Dan. I want her gone for good. He chuckled. She's toast, Rob. She called that night. A number flashing on my screen. I let it ring, then picked up silent. Rob, her voice cracked small, desperate. I lost my job. I've got nowhere to go. Please. I cut her off, cold as ice. You've got Max, right? Crash with him. She sobbed, choking out. He won't talk to me, he's gone. I laughed, sharp and bitter. Guess you're alone now. Tough luck. I hung up, her cries cut off mid-breath, and leaned back, staring at the ceiling. Much bailed, coward. She was crumbling, jobless, homeless, shamed. Step 2 done. The town's whispers would bury her deeper, and I'd keep twisting the knife. Her life was rubble, and I make damn sure it stay that way. No forgiveness. No way back. The courthouse squatted under a gray sky, cold and unyielding, fitting for the end. Adriana's pleas from last night. I've got nowhere, echoed, but I'd hung up her sobs dead air. Motel slips, Max's napkin, that red bracelet. They'd gutted her in my eyes, and now they'd gut her in court. Dan met me outside, tie loose, eyes sharp. She's got no fight left, he said, clapping my shoulder. We've got this. Inside, she sat across the room, hollow, blonde hair limp, eyes red from crying. Her lawyer, some cheap public defender, shuffled papers outmatched. The judge, a stern woman with a clipboard, scanned my stack, receipts, bank logs, her firing report. Adultery, financial deception, she read, voice flat, peering at Adriana. Your response? Adriana's lips trembled. I made a mistake, she whispered, barely audible. Her lawyer mumbled, she's under stress. The judge cut him off, not an excuse. Dan laid it out, her affair with Max, the wiped phone, the motel nights. She's unfit for anything. House, assets, all to my client, he said, dropping the napkin like a bomb. Proof's right there. Adriana's head dropped, a sob escaping, but I stared ahead, stone cold. The judge nodded, scribbling. Divorce granted. Sole ownership to Mr. Carter. Mrs. Carter. No alimony, supervised contact, pending review. The gavel slammed, over. She didn't move, just sat there, broken, as I walked out. Dan grinned. You crushed her, Rob. I nodded, but it felt hollow. Her tears didn't touch me anymore. Outside, the town buzzed. Word spread fast here. Heard she's done, a guy muttered at the gas station. Screwed her co-worker, lost it all. I fueled up, silent. Good. Let's sting. Night fell, and my phone lit up. Her again. I answered, voice flat. What? She sobbed. Rob, I'm at a motel. I've got nothing. Please. I laughed low and dark. You've got what you earned. Live with it. I hung up. Her wail cut short, and tossed the phone aside. Dan texted. She's officially out. House deeds yours tomorrow. I smirked, staring at the empty kitchen, her cinnamon mug long smashed. She'd lost. Job, home, pride, shattered by her own hands. Max was gone. The town spat her name like poison. I'd won, but the fire still burned. Every lie, every night she'd played me, fueling it. No merci. She'd rot in that motel, and I'd keep the ashes. The house was a shell, silent, stripped of her. No cinnamon in the air, no Adriana humming over the stove. A week since the gavel fell, and I'd won. Her job gone, her money drained, the town spitting her name like a curse. Motel receipts, Max's napkin, that red bracelet. They'd torch her life, and I'd fan the flames. She called last night, begging from some Fleabag room, but I'd laughed and hung up. Done. Morning sun sliced through the blinds, hitting the kitchen table. Empty now, no trace of her. I'd sold her car yesterday, repo guys took it cheap, her name off the title like it had never been there. Dan dropped the house deed off at dawn. All yours, Rob. She's got nothing. I nodded, clutching the paper, but the victory tasted flat. Ash in my throat, not fire. I drove through town, eyes catching whispers. Pete at the diner, old ladies on porches, all buzzing about her fall. Heard she's holed up at the Sunset Inn. A guy said at the gas pump, shaking his head. Messing with her husband's buddy. Damn shame. I fueled up, silent, the rage still simmering. Shame was hers, not mine. Max had vanished, quit the firm, skipped town, the coward. Good riddance. Back home, I found a letter slipped under the door. Her handwriting shake. Rob, I'm sorry. I lost everything. Please just talk. I stared at it, her words clawing at me, then lit the stove and burned it, flames eating her lies, curling them black. Sorry didn't fix a decade of trust, didn't erase her sneaking around with him. I watched the ashes scatter, my jaw tight. She'd played me, both of them had, and I'd made them pay. Night settled, cold and heavy. I stood on the porch, staring at the street. Her ghost lingered in every corner, every memory I'd once loved. 10 years, planning kids, building a life, all ash now. I'd gutted her, left her broke, shamed, alone, and Max, too, run out like a rat. The town knew, the court ruled, my hands were clean. But the fire inside didn't die. It burned hotter, fed by every lie she'd fed me, every smirk he'd thrown. I gripped the railing, knuckles white, the quiet choking me. I'd won, total, brutal victory, but it didn't fill the hole. Just left me standing in the wreckage, raging at shadows. She'd rot out there, and I'd stay here, king of the ashes, hating them both till my last breath.